And we have more breaking news. Secretary of State Tony Blinken in Doha at this hour after meeting with Sheikh Mohammed, the Qatari Prime Minister. He's also the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He has just announced that Hamas has responded to Qatar, in his words, positively to the proposed framework agreed to 10 days ago in Paris by the U.S., Egypt, Qatar, and representatives for Israel. This is a framework to have a pause of as long as 6 weeks in the fighting in Gaza, so that some hostages can be released in phases. Joining us now is the NATO Supreme Allied Commander, Admiral James Stavridis, and Colin Clarke, Director of Research at the Sufan Group. Colin, first to you. We're learning, first of all, reports that Israeli intelligence has confirmed that more of the hostages had died than we had previously thought. They had no proof of life of hostages, and this, of course, we don't know what is going on with 6 Americans who were there. Tony Blinken is speaking right now. We're going to carry some of that in a moment. But this sounds like there's at least marginally a positive response. That's the Qatari characterization, and we know that there are different divisions of Hamas. What is your take on this, though?
Well, this is potentially a big stepping stone. If we can confirm some of the details here, this could be a confidence-building measure for further negotiations. The question that I have right now is, if you look at the United States response in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, does that kinetic response, that military campaign, derail what we have here? That's going to be the key. Can the ceasefire hold if it's agreed to?
And Secretary Blinken is saying that they are reviewing the response. Admiral Stavridis, you know how long these negotiations can take, but this war is having a devastating impact on the population in Gaza, and it threatens to widen, of course, throughout the region because of what's been happening within with the Red Sea, with the Iranian-backed Houthis, and more recently with the attacks that killed our 3 Americans, attacks from Iranian, terror groups that include the Iranian regime's own military wing, the Revolutionary Guards, according to the U.S. So we're on a tightrope here in the region, and you can see what's happening in the naval sphere. What would this mean if Hamas might respond positively, and if this response from Hamas speaks for the more radical, the terror elements, who are inside Gaza and are responsible for October 7th?
Yeah, there's certainly a rich basket of unknowns here, but I agree with Dr. Clarke. Potentially, this is very important as follows. If this led to a, let's be hypothetical here, a 1 or 2 month ceasefire, it is possible, in my view, that the Houthis, for example, may cease and desist for some period of time. The Iranians might take a little bit of pressure off the back of the proxy groups that have been attacking us in Iraq and Syria. I think it would be a prudent moment for the United States to kind of hit the pause button on further strikes while we see what happens here. Final thought, Andrea, a lot of credit to Tony Blinken, of course, but the reason I have felt this would probably happen, this being a deal, a hostage deal, a bit of a ceasefire, is due also to the efforts of Director of the CIA, Bill Burns, former ambassador to Jordan, Arab hand. This has been a big effort between Secretary Blinken and Director Burns. If they can pull this off, my hat is off to them.
No, you're exactly right. Bill Burns has been the negotiator for the U.S. with the intelligence leaders, and in Paris it was the leaders of Mossad, Shin Bet, and the IDF. So reports that it has been rejected by Israel are incorrect. Israel has a coalition government, and they have to. The Prime Minister has been speaking to try to hold his more right-wing ministers in place rather than quitting the government over this. But clearly, the heads of Mossad, Shin Bet, and IDF are not speaking in Paris and signing the text in Paris without Colin Clarke, without the support of Netanyahu, as divided as his government is.
That's a big sticking point. I see 2 different types of objectives here. I think there are the tactical objectives, which means securing the release of some of the hostages, and that's directly connected to the strategic objectives, which is kind of warding off this brewing regional war between the United States and Israel on one hand, Iran on the other. I've said this for some time. I think the road to Tehran runs through Gaza. If we can make progress there, we can make progress more broadly.
And we should also point out, Admiral and Colin, that Tony Blinken has just said that he's going to be presenting this. He's arriving in Israel tonight after he leaves Qatar. He's been in Egypt earlier today. He was in Saudi Arabia yesterday, speaking to the Saudi leader. The carrot for Israel and for Netanyahu is what he reportedly believes is his legacy, what could be his legacy, not October 7th and the total failure and having been caught off guard in the worst, massacre in Israeli history, but the carrot could be the economic benefits of normalization with Saudi Arabia, a peace agreement, a security agreement with the entire Arab world, which would follow, economic benefits, political and security benefits, aligning Israel and Saudis and the Arab world against Iran, their mutual adversary. Admiral, you can clearly see this. Blinken has just said that he's going to be presenting all this to Israel tomorrow.
Yes, I agree with your assessment, Andrea, which is that these are kind of interlocking pieces. And I'll add one to your excellent list of benefits. From the Saudi Arabian perspective, this could lead to a more fulsome security relationship with the United States. So this would be a kind of package deal for all entities here. Ultimately, I agree with Dr. Clarke. The road to Tehran leads through not just Gaza, I think, but Jerusalem as well. We've got to get that two-state solution kind of moving in a direction. That's the strategic goal here. This is certainly potentially some tactical good news, which could bleed up to having real strategic effect in this very turbulent region.
And Colin, Clarke, the goal of a pathway for a Palestinian state, Netanyahu has said he's rejected that now because of October 7th. But Israeli governments, all of his predecessors, had accepted it, going all the way back to Camp David, really, but then to Oslo and to all of the accords that were signed since. And that is now, since October 7th, a prerequisite from the Saudis and the others. They weren't demanding all of that for the Palestinians before October 7th, but after the horrors of what they have seen and what their Palestinian world and the Arab world has seen in Gaza, in the Israeli anticipated response, which was stronger and more immediate than many might have expected. But the human tragedy that is now taking place with the civilians in Gaza has so alienated the Palestinian, the Muslim and Arab world that the Saudis are demanding this up front, a pathway to citizenship down the road after security has been arranged.
You're absolutely right, but let's be clear as well. Netanyahu has attempted to block the Palestinian state well before October 7th. We're 4 months in. It's come up again. His far-right allies in the government are with him, attempting to block that. One of the side effects could very well be a long-term Israeli occupation of Gaza. I had a piece in Foreign Affairs yesterday warning against just that. There's so many moving parts here. It's very complex. But the fact that the U.S. is sending Bill Burns, the fact that Secretary Blinken's now been to the region 5 times in the last 4 months, a lot of intense diplomacy here, a lot of political will, political capital spent by the United States. Hopefully this leads to a big breakthrough.